What's up, guys? Welcome to the Dynasty Dudes podcast. My name is Bryce. This is Sam today.
What's up, everyone?
And what's up, Sam? Sam, where are you recording from?
Hey, we're recording from Chandler, Arizona, down here in sunny weather.
Hey, that's awesome. And I'm recording from sunny Los Angeles, California. Also some sunny weather. Some of our other league mates from beautiful Seattle. But anyway, we want to jump in, and I think our topic of conversation today is controversial players in fantasy football. And when we say controversial, when we were talking about this before, some of us are asking, what about Deshaun Watson? Is that what we mean controversial? No, it is not. No, there is a little controversy about, is he still an elite quarterback? But in terms of massage parlors, we're not talking about it.
No, sir. PG.
We ain't touching it with football. So, Sam, a guy that we've been talking about kind of back and forth between the two of us is a certain gambler named Calvin Ridley. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear some initial thoughts on where you're at with Calvin and kind of how you project him.
Yeah, well, just like the old Kenny Rogers song, "The Gambler," you got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him. And I think right now a lot of Calvin Ridley owners are holding him. He's been working out, he's been staying in shape, and I know you've got some Trevor Lawrence stock, and so a lot of people are really excited to see how he's progressed this year. And adding Calvin Ridley to that fold as a next tier wide receiver, kind of above Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, I think the sky's the limit for those guys.
So I'm pulling it up just for my own education. So Calvin Ridley had one season where he was an elite wide receiver in 2020, mm-hmm. And that was, of course, the COVID year, kind of an odd year, but it was mostly normal in the NFL, other than the fact that there mostly weren't any fans.
Yeah.
But the games went on more or less as planned. And then the tough thing I have with Calvin Ridley, I mean, there's a number of tough things I have with Calvin Ridley, but one of the main ones is the mental health stuff. Because mm-hmm. People forget that that's what happened in 2021. They just remember, he bet $1,700 on a game,
yep.
Which also was pretty stupid. But that doesn't really affect anything, assuming he's not a gambling addict.
Yeah,
which
like the rest of us, right?
Is. Yeah. Oh, Calvin and I can't adopt those kind of silly tactics. But we never really knew what happened.
Yeah.
What was he battling? Anxiety and mental health stuff. That's it's completely valid.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to shame Calvin Ridley for anything.
Not at all.
But it's tough to know. Can you trust him to be on the field?
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on any of that and some of the other problems with Calvin Ridley? Just the fact that he hasn't played in 2 years and he's now 28.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of saw the same thing with Hopkins. He got suspended for a little bit, and he was able to maintain his football game shape a little bit and came back, and it looked like he hadn't missed a beat, right? He was coming back, averaged 11 targets a game. But, I think with Ridley, with the mental health stuff, you just got to respect that for what it is. You can't – obviously, there's a lot of people in the fantasy football world that they put fantasy football above everything. If you don't get me my points, then I'll be in the DMs letting you know. That's not what you want to do, right?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Please, no. But with Ridley, I think, from a purely transactional point, I think a lot of people, if they got him in dynasty leagues, it was pretty cheap. And I think that'll be the same in redraft as well, right?
Right.
So I don't think there's a ton of, risk right there. And, if he needs to take time away from the game to, get himself right, then more power to him, go do it 100%.
Right. So as a guy who owns some Ridley stock, what's his value? Is he the kind of guy that just has such extreme value that you really can't trade him? You just have to wait and see? Or is there sort of a level where you're willing to make a move, or where are you at? Where are you at with that?
I think right now, just for me personally, because I put a lot of my bank on Gabe Davis this last season, and obviously
Yeah.
that didn't go the way we were hoping.
That first game, man.
Come on.
It really was only the one throw, too. So
he'll go for 34. He'll go for 3. It's
he's
one or
a
the
boomer.
other.
He's a field stretching receiver. That's the nature of the field stretcher.
Well, and just watching him in a lot of games this year too, there were a lot of contested catches. I really thought he should have had. Hits him right in the breadbasket. Defender doesn't get a hand on it, but he's there. It's kind of a contested catch and doesn't come down with the ball.
Right.
So as a boomer bust guy, you really need to hit those more often. I think with Ridley though, I think I'm pretty fine holding him honestly, just because I got it for $4 in the draft, something right in there.
Right.
So unless I can really see some value, I'm especially back to what I said with the Trevor Lawrence. I'm excited to see how those two connect next year.
I'm also extremely excited to see how those two connect this year.
I'm aware.
Guy with Trevor Lawrence stuff. Sam just touched on something, by the way, that maybe sounded a little bit weird to you. I am a big fan, and I think we're both big advocates of the auction draft during a dynasty. So the problem with doing a snake draft in a dynasty startup is that you lock yourself in place. You're kind of at the will of the draft, of your draft position. And an auction draft is just so, you're going to have this team for, decades, hopefully. You don't want to take the time and actually do an auction draft. It's a way that you can actually kind of control where your team's at. You can, there's a lot more strategy involved. Again, I foresee that being a more talked about situation in future episodes. But for now, I just wanted to mention that because you said you bought it for $4, and probably a lot of people were like, "What's that mean?" For Fab, because people know what Fab is for the most part.
Off the waiver wire, right? But yeah, I mean, I got to say, I was a
waiver.
huge fan of the auction draft. This year was a lot of new things, I guess, for me in fantasy. First time doing an auction draft, first time using Sleeper. I'm all for it, man. Auction draft gives you a lot more flexibility. So
super fun, and it takes a little more time. Not that much more time, but a little more.
Yeah.
Especially we had such deep benches, and it also you have to be on it. It's not one of those things you're just kicking it and my pick's up. Press it. No, it's you got to be on it.
Well, I think especially for a dynasty, like you said, we're hopefully going to be in this league for a long time, and so it's worth the initial investment to spend that extra time to make sure you have a good startup.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours. It's not like a crazy amount of time.
No,
I get wrangling 12 dudes into having 2 hours. It can be tough, but figure it out. Figure it. You got a whole summer.
Yeah.
Want to move on to another guy that I'm interested in, and again, we recently talked about him. I don't think either of us have any stock, but that's Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a little bit of relevance. We kind of had a discussion in our group chat about C.J. Stroud because I'm personally I'm a sticker drafter. I can't until an Ohio State guy proves me wrong. I can't trust it. I can't trust it. I'm sorry. You're all these dudes just having these absurd offenses that they play in college, and let's draft them high, and then they turn out to be just mad quarterbacks in the NFL. So how do you feel about Justin Fields and kind of the Ohio State quarterback in general?
So I think let's just go with Fields first. I mean, dude, obviously elite tier athlete. Look at the guy run. It's like Michael Vick 2.0 for those of you who remember watching that guy run. But, the arm, I don't think the arm's been there like it has when he was at Ohio State. I watched a few clips of some throws he made at Ohio State and just some dimes. I know that the NFL is a completely different game than college football. It's a lot more fast-paced, a lot more physical. So, I don't know. I think with Fields, obviously the Bears, they got to build more than just him because their defense is bad. But they traded away Roquan Smith to the Ravens, so they were kind of just, throwing in the towel on that one. So,
by the way, I do want to mention Roquan real quick. I'm a law student and that's my other life that I live.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff about Roquan Smith not having an agent. He is an idiot for not having an agent.
Big time.
If you happen to be a professional, like there was some stuff like, oh no, good for him. He cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
No, stupid. Hire an agent.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it's worth it to have someone negotiate on your behalf. I mean, I know there's a few guys that have been able to negotiate their own contracts.
So stupid.
And there's a few guys that do it successfully, but that's definitely a niche category. You have to be pretty smart in those dealings and pretty well versed.
Right. Well, and even if you are smart enough to negotiate, the issue is it's personal.
Yeah.
You're out here, you have to go into these negotiations, and you have to hear bad things about yourself.
You have to be unbiased, right?
Right. Yeah, and have to be an advocate, and then Anyway, that's just a side note. You mentioned Roquan Smith. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep going down these rabbit holes, and man, we could talk about
but back to Fields.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, Fields kind of came out of nowhere this year, right? The Bears looked terrible the first few games, and then all of a sudden he came out and started running and was putting up 20-plus fantasy points a game minimum for a good stretch there.
Right.
And so I think maybe the Bears definitely need another wide receiver. I know we were talking a little bit about that in our group chat. His receiving core is depleted. Mooney's not a wide receiver one. He's more of a wide receiver two. You got Chase Claypool. Talk about a heist. I mean, that guy came over and did absolutely nothing for Chicago. And then, you got guys like Fellis Jones and the other St. Brown brother. Just, they don't have any pass catchers, man.
Is it Aquarius and Equus?
Yeah.
I don't.
Equinamius. That boy popped out the womb and Pop said Equinamius. There's a name, huh?
I believe the St. Brown brothers did change their name from Brown to St. Brown, so their Brown would be or St. Brown would be Popmore on the jerseys. I think their dad did that.
They didn't get promoted within like the church or something. No, to St. Hood.
I have no idea. There's a million explanations, but I think that was I want to say is correct. I just pulled up for fun. I pulled up Keep Trade Cut.
Love it.
For those of you who don't know, Keep Trade Cut is like a fan source kind of ranking trade calculator system. It's not perfect. There are a lot of things I don't love about it, again, because it's crowdsourced. It's just kind of interesting to see what people think. They've got Justin Fields as the QB8 right in the same tier as Lamar. And then the next one is Kyler. And I think that is not where I'd rank Justin Fields. I'd put him. So they've got Fields, the QB8. He's above Kyler, Dak, Deshaun, Tua. I'd go right there at Tua, like probably that range there.
I would drop Tua down a little bit. I don't know if you've been seeing some of the news recently, but there is some talk or rumors that he might be retiring. He's still in concussion protocol.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, let's take out Tua. So the next guy below that is Daniel Jones, and so I guess right between Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones, I think is the deal. So anyway, I haven't heard this news or haven't been following it as much. What's going on with Tua?
I mean, he's still in concussion protocol, which normally, in season, it's I think what they have to there's a lot more hoops you got to jump through. I don't think it's necessarily a time frame anymore.
Right.
To know guys will be back after 5 days after getting a concussion back on the field, but we saw some pretty gnarly stuff that I don't think we've really seen a whole lot of before on the field with some of his concussions. It was tough to watch.
Yeah.
I know with the Thursday night one, Amazon kept showing it over and over where his fingers are all curled up and he's spazzing. Yeah. So I don't know. They're thinking that it might be kind of the Cliff Averill, Cam Chancellor deal where they have some neck issues going on too that force them to retire. So I know there was some speculation on that as well.
Yeah, I do remember Aaron Rodgers talked about it on the Pat McAfee show. And I really, do you ever listen to that, by the way, Sam?
I've seen some clips. Yeah, I don't listen to the whole deal, but yeah, there's some good quality content coming out of there.
There sure is. Shout out to Pat McAfee. I do remember Aaron talking about it of shutting down for the year, but he was pretty dismissive of the idea of retiring over something like this. This is while that Thursday night clip was really tough. That's something that's how boxing is. Like
Yeah.
you get knocked out. Like
Yeah.
and again you take a few months off and you're back in the ring at some point. And again, if there's neck damage, there's neck damage, but definitely something to keep an eye on for the two owners for sure.
Yeah.
And again, one of those things with personal health and being
Right.
able to actually function as a human being, that of course comes way first.
Yeah.
So, but back to Fields real quick, and then we can maybe connect that to CJ or to Stroud.
Yeah.
Justin Fields had one of the statistically worst passing seasons
Yeah.
of all time. And again, you mentioned, he didn't have his what do you call it? His wide receiver, his weapons were not great, but they weren't unbelievably terrible. I brought up the Giants, as kind of a comparison. They got Richie James. Is there, like who's on the Giants team? And they were able
Hodgins,
to at least
right?
they were have a slight modicum of success. And I mean, again, is Darnell Mooney a wide receiver one? No, he's not a wide receiver one. But Cole Kmet's a decent tight end.
Yep.
There isn't nobody, and he still again had. It's not. To me, Justin Fields has not proved that he is going to be the starter in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, if he has another year like this, and the Bears finish last in the NFC North, I think you have to consider moving on. And because of that, from a dynasty perspective, I can't rank him, even though he's gonna have that massive rushing upside.
Mm-hmm.
I can't rank him too high. Right between Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones territory.
Yeah. Well, I think let's not go down this rabbit hole just yet, but I think another quarterback that comes to mind that could be dropping on the dynasty rankings is Kyler Murray, just due to that ACL tear he had, right? And he's a shorter guy, so he can't see over the line. So how does he make plays? He gets out of the pocket and improvises. Right. But he definitely has more accuracy than Fields. So let's tie this back to Fields. There were quite a few throws I did see him make where, he'd run out and extend the play and then miss the guy wide open on the field.
Right.
So,
It's wide open.
Wide open. And so I don't know what's going on over there. Maybe he's just not balancing, passing, and running enough. Maybe he's just so run heavy in his mind that he's kind of like, all right, I'm just going to turn into, a running quarterback, But we'll see. Let's go into Stroud now.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of guys rank him as the overall, just the most, overall elite quarterback in the draft.
Right.
I think they say Bryce Young he's the most accurate. Will Levis has the strongest arm. But it's kind of a complete package. They like Stroud. Now Stroud also has, an elite offense, as we saw Ohio State put up some big numbers this year. I mean, we'll see. I still think that he's an elite quarterback and he'll be fine. The first round guy.
Yeah. He'll get that first round guy. He'll be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a good thing to do, by the way. Excuse me. It's not a good thing to do to sticker scout.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a tongue twister, but it's not just because he went to Ohio State doesn't mean he's Justin Fields. Doesn't mean he's JT. I can't even remember who all these Ohio State quarterbacks are. Just the guy who recently, Dwayne Haskins. All right, Dwayne Haskins. That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Really sad. But Cordell Jones.
Yep. I completely forgot about that guy. Yeah.
He was the national championship legend.
Yep.
He was. He made it happen. Cardale Jones. Anyway, all those guys. It's a kind of an endless list of nothing, and then Justin Fields, who of course put up an incredible season this year. Especially, he had to have been the QB1 from a points per game standpoint.
Yeah.
He had to have been.
Yeah.
But again, like, what are you going to do?
Well, I think a lot of these guys that go in the first round, right? They're going to teams that had pretty poor records from the previous year, and so this is something where I kind of want to go in and be like, hey, look at how important are coaching staffs in the NFL, offensive coordinators and head coaches. Look at Kyle Shanahan. I mean, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, and he's kind of a living legend right now just because of how good their offensive system is. And so I think if you take some of these first-round quarterbacks that they have that elite level of talent, you could probably put them on some better teams. I think they would perform a lot better. So I think that is kind of another just variable you have to look into with some of these guys.
No, it definitely 100% is, and that's really the problem with some of these elite level quarterbacks. They go to bad teams. You know, it's what it is. Sometimes it's lucky. We did touch on a guy that I do actually want to mention in terms of quote unquote controversial players, and that is Deshaun Watson. Yeah. Again, not talking about what kind of massage parlors he likes to go to. That has nothing to do with the controversy. But it's something I've analyzed as I've been getting into Dynasty fantasy football, and it's one of the things that annoys me a ton. And because I saw it with Trevor Lawrence, right? What happens is you'll see a guy, and let's take Deshaun Watson here and just analyze it here. He gets this big contract and he gets the suspension for, 12, 13 games. He comes back in week 13. I guess it was an 11-game suspension. Yeah. He ended up coming back week 13. And everyone and their mom comes on and says, look, we don't know what this year is going to be. It's probably just going to be kind of he hasn't played football in 2 years. He's going to get back into it. The team might not be very good when he comes back. Like Jacoby Brissett, he got the team. I think the team was not good. What did he get, like 4 wins or something like that? Like just not very good. I think it was like 4-8. Yeah. Or 4-7.
I honestly think that Brissett kept them in quite a few games. I thought he did more than what was asked of him by a good margin, honestly.
Yeah, no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett. I don't mean to rag on the guy, but the deal is he came back to like a 4-7 team that was well out of the playoffs, and he hadn't played football in 2 years. And so everyone talks about Deshaun Watson before all this happens. It says, look, he might not be great coming out of the gate. Like he might start slow. It might be kind of like a warm up year for him, but he's going to be but remember, he was an elite level quarterback. He was the QB1 overall. Just a few years ago. And then it happens when he actually does struggle out of the gate, and everyone
jumps ship.
Yeah, exactly. They can't handle it. They can't handle the heat. They can't. And it happened with Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, they don't have the patience, even though they predicted it. Yeah. They literally predicted it.
Wow. What I said actually happened, and now I don't have the stones to stick with it.
Yeah, it's like, he's actually, and like, again, what they'll do is they'll drop the ceiling and they'll say, maybe he'll be a decent quarterback, but he's not. But we literally don't know. We literally have no idea. Yeah. Let's see what he actually does when he has a legitimately full training camp. Yeah. And is a little bit more removed from all the personal life issues. Yeah. And maybe he ends up being really good. Again, look at Trevor Lawrence. Everyone was like, look, the Jacksonville Jaguars were a mess Lawrence's rookie year, and people didn't have the cojones to just be like, hey, he's still going to be fine.
Going back to the head coach change, they got rid of what's his face, Urban, right?
Urban,
and that guy. And
it's a Ohio State heavy podcast today.
It is, yeah. Sorry, Ohio State fans. Y'all are kind of getting grilled.
I don't think we've talked anything positive about
No. Zeke Elliott, there's a positive Ohio State guy. But anyways, that's just coming back to how important head coaches are, and you get someone like Peterson with a lot of experience in Super Bowls, and I think he's helped Trevor Lawrence take that next step. But a lot of the things with quarterbacks, going back to Watson, so much of that is just timing and repetition. Getting the route break and the ball's out right before the break. A lot of that just takes reps, man. So yeah, I think Watson, he showed some glimpses of what he can do. In some of his last few games, but we'll see. I think Cleveland's got kind of a decent offense going, man. They've got Chubb, they've got Njoku, they've got Amari Cooper, who kind of out of nowhere, everyone wrote him off after he got traded from the Cowboys, and even DPJ, Darius Peoples-Jones. I think he's very under the radar. I think he could be a sneaky pickup for a lot of people.
Hey, watch out for David Bell.
And that guy.
Slot God. I love me some David Bell. So I want to do a little rapid fire real quick, just for kind of fun.
Yeah, let's roll.
And so I'm pulling up Keep Trade Your Cut, and I've got Deshaun Watson. He's sitting at the QB 11, but I'm gonna ask you, and we can both answer Deshaun Watson or. And so, how about Deshaun Watson or Dak Prescott?
I'm still taking Dak right now, even though I'm not a big Dak fan. I'm sure you guys saw in the our group chat. I'm not big on Dak, but I think I'm still going to take him and that offense over the Browns right now.
I'm really close. I think I take Watson over Dak, but
Really?
it's close.
Yeah.
It's really close. I think the upside is just there with Watson. But obviously, Dak is probably the safer pick.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson or Kyler Murray?
I think another one where I'm going to go with a guy I'm not a big fan of right now, but I'll still take Kyler Murray. Although I do think we could kind of see a Russell Wilson drop off with him because, kind of same. Russ didn't have an ACL there, but they're both short guys who they don't see over the line very well. And the way they, make their bread is by getting out of the pocket and extending plays and improvising. And so we'll see how inhibited Kyler's legs are when he comes back. I know it's not going to be till maybe midway through next year. So,
yeah, the beautiful thing about Kyler Murray, he's got that beautiful contract.
Yeah, he's got the money.
So he has got the contract, and so he's probably not going anywhere.
No.
Again, I'm still taking Deshaun Watson.
No.
Again, it's probably close.
Yeah.
But I'm taking Deshaun. And
do you
then
have him in our Dynasty League, or do you have a lot of stock in him?
I don't.
You're just a big fan of the guy.
I don't have any Watson. I'm just. I don't want to use the word fan.
Yeah, let's refrain from that. Big fan. I open up.
I'm a believer in Deshaun Watson again. And then again, last one to kind of to tie everything together: Deshaun Watson or Justin Fields.
That's a curveball for me, honestly.
It is a curveball.
Dang.
They couldn't be so like the pros of Watson. He's got the contract. He's going to be the Denver quarterback for a long time, or the Cleveland quarterback for a long time.
Orange.
Exactly. The orange, the orange shirt throwing me off. He's going to be the Cleveland quarterback for a long time. Justin Fields is still in a prove it time.
Yeah.
But man, Justin Fields, man, he is a ridiculous. He might be the QB1 in redraft.
Yeah, I think the
first
upside's there with Fields. I don't think Watson necessarily has the same upside right now, just because of rushing quarterbacks. They're always going to have a little bit of a higher ceiling floor. I would say that Watson, though, he's got the better receiving core and the better weapons at his disposal, both in running backs. Isn't David Montgomery's on a contract here, right? He a free agent next year?
He might be a free agent this year.
This year? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to double check on that. But I might go with Deshaun Watson on that, honestly. Even though I really like Fields and his upside. Right. Like you said, there's a lot of risk over the next year and a half, 2 years. So we'll see how that one comes out, right?
No, I definitely agree. I think that's got it, because the next one's Lamar. You should take Lamar over Deshaun Watson.
Easily, yeah. No question.
That's a ridiculous. You'd be a pretty ridiculous person to not believe that. There was
down the pipe, so that's an easy one.
Exactly, fastball down.
Middle.
Exactly. Oh man, there was one other guy I wanted to bring up. Well, I guess real quickly before we jump off of here, I do. We're coming up tomorrow is championship week.
Yeah.
Anything we're looking for tomorrow from a dynasty perspective? Because the obvious one is, I think Purdy wins the job if he wins the game.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue against that one. There's many points that are valid, But I don't think they win the game, if I'm being honest. I think the Eagles are just they look like a juggernaut, man.
So if they don't win the game, is it Purdy or what do they do?
They're keeping both guys. Obviously, I think Jimmy G gets a job somewhere else. You're not going to have three, startable quarterbacks in the same roster. That just makes no sense from a team standpoint. But I don't think Lance is out of it yet. I mean, he played in one abysmal game, and that wasn't even completely on him. The weather was awful. That was a slip and slide.
That was the craziest game. Yeah.
I mean, that was awful.
Yeah.
The field was a mess.
Did you ever play soccer growing up, Sam?
No, I was not a foot fairy growing up. No, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there was a field down near where we grew up in the Snohomish Valley, like Stalker Farms. And it looked a lot like that Bears game.
Yeah.
That first game of the season, just like disgusting. It was a mudslide show. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, Stalker Farms that's right next to where I grew up in Snohomish.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
that place was pretty fun to play a rain game in every now and again.
Yeah, I believe it. You get plenty of that in Seattle. But I think one other thing really quick before we hop off. How about Joe Burrow coming out? And a lot of people think that he's that top tier of dynasty quarterback now.
Dude, I think it's tough to argue.
Yeah.
He's going to be now. We talked about it on the last podcast. Anytime a quarterback's on their rookie deal, you're going to have situations where they've got pieces around them that they won't be able to pay once they're not on a rookie deal. Again, I don't see a world where the Bengals can pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. It's just not happening.
And Mixon, right?
And Mixon, yeah. So you have all these weapons. It's
and their defense on top of it.
Right. No, elite defense. Now, the one thing, their offensive line it's been getting better, but it was like last year in the Super Bowl run, it was horrible.
Yeah. Well, even this year, they're down to a third or fourth string guy, a tackle or something.
Yeah. So I think Joe Burrow has kind of proved that he can do it outside of, and that's really what it is with those, those number one overall picks. They have to operate within really terrible situations. You see Trevor, that receiving core is not horrible, but it's definitely not great. Christian Kirk is not a wide receiver one.
The reemergence of Evan Ingram, man. I got some Evan Ingram stock in redraft.
I'm a big Evan Ingram guy. I'm pro. He's actually he's a free agent now, so we'll see if they re-sign him.
Yeah,
that'll be kind of a TBD, but we'll kind of see. Yeah. But anyway, Sam, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for making your Dynasty Dudes podcast debut, and we'll make it happen again soon.
Absolutely, man. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for having me on.
By the way, I just wanted to say a shout out. Rob texted me about 10 minutes into our deal that he set his alarm for 9:30 instead of 8:30. So
Luke texted me about 10 minutes ago and said he just woke up, so he wasn't hopping on. So those dudes need
shout
to get
out to all those dudes. Dude, what are these people? They're not adults, baby. They're not adults.
Guess not.
Hey, peace, Sam. It's good talking to you, bro.
Hey, we'll catch you later, big guy.
Hey, bye.